Hey YouTube, Jim here. Welcome to Top 10 Archive. Our planet is an incredible place, and all around us are examples of how creative Mother Nature and the humans who came before us can be. But sadly, some of the most beautiful places on Earth no longer exist, and we'll never get a chance to see them with our own eyes. Here's our list of 10 amazing tourist attractions that no longer exist. But before we get started, why not become an archivist today by clicking that subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. If you end up enjoying this video, let us know by giving it a thumbs up, and in the comment section, tell us where your dream vacation would be.
Number 10. Yeo Falls. In its heyday, Yeo Falls was the most powerful waterfall in the world in terms of total volume. With an incredible 1,750,000 cubic feet of water pummeling the Parana River below, it had double the flow of Niagara Falls and more than 12 times the water that makes up Victoria Falls. There were 18 spectacular falls in total, and the deafening sound of the water rushing forward could be heard up to 20 miles away. It was truly an incredible spectacle to behold. That is, until it was buried underneath the Itaipu Dam in 1982. Yes, that's right. One of the most incredible natural sights on the entire planet was destroyed in favor of a dam. What used to be a huge tourist attraction on the Brazil-Paraguay border is now a hydroelectric project, which is much less Instagrammable, I'd say. Number 9. Chacaltaya Glacier. Bolivia is known for its capital city being at a super high altitude, but that's not the only spectacular attraction that used to be hidden high up in this South American country. The Chacaltaya Glacier lies 17,400 feet or 35,300 meters up in the Andes Mountains, and at one point it was a serious tourist attraction. The glacier had the first ever rope tow in South America, and it was home to the highest ski lodge in the world, which was even higher than Everest Base Camp. Skiers from all over the world would descend on the world's highest ski run to test their skills at altitude. But now there's nothing but a tiny block of unskiable ice. Any ideas why? Yes, that's right. It's because of global warming. The 18,000-year-old natural wonder has been reduced to practically nothing, and since 2012, it has been closed indefinitely, and the tourist trade has completely died out as a result. Number 8. Jonahs Tomb. Jonahs Tomb in Mosul, Iraq, is just one of the entries on today's list that's been lost to war. Jonah is an important figure in Christianity and Islam who, according to Islamic and Judeo-Christian beliefs, was swallowed by a whale. Jonah's tomb was said to be housed in Mosul's oldest mosque, and it was a very popular site for religious pilgrimages and tourists with a keen interest in religion. That is, until the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or ISIS, put an end to that. In 2014, the group planted explosives around the mosque, and it was destroyed beyond repair. Jonah the Prophet's tomb is just one of many holy sites destroyed by ISIS because they're deemed idolatrous. Number 7. Love locks on Pont des Arts. We've all seen padlocks attached to bridges in our cities, which are supposed to signify couples' love and commitment to one another. But did you know that this cutesy tradition began in Paris? I mean, of course it did. It's not known as the most romantic city in the world for nothing. In just a couple of years after the tradition began in 2008, the Pont des Arts bridge was covered with an incredible 700,000 locks, which weighed an estimated 45 tons combined. Couples desperate to prove their love for one another came from far and wide to add their own lock. Each couple would carve their initials into the lock before attaching it to the bridge and throwing the keys into the water. There's just one problem with this practice. Locks are heavy, and no bridge in the world has been built to support almost 1 million of them. So in 2015, the metal grids were removed and replaced with new sides. And of course, there's nowhere to affix padlocks on the new bridge. Tough luck, lovers. Number 6. The original Penn station. Now I know what you're thinking. Who cares about a train station? but the original Pennsylvania station was an incredible sight to behold and attracted more than its fair share of tourists. At the beginning of the 20th century, the Pennsylvania Railroad was the world's largest corporation, and so it was only right that its New York station would be grander than grand. Designed by McKim, Mead, and White, who also renovated the White House, the magnificent Beaux-Arts landmark was completed in 1910, and its beauty rivaled Grand Central Station. It could accommodate 200,000 passengers every day and was built to be able to do so for at least 100 years. But sadly, it didn't last quite that long. In the 1940s, the railroad suffered as air travel surged, and so the once successful company found itself struggling for cash. Unable to keep up the beautiful structure, it was sadly torn down in 1963. Number 5. The Buddhas of Bamiyan, Afghanistan. In the days before Afghanistan turned into an almost constant war zone, the spectacular Buddhas of Bamiyan were one of the beautiful country's main draws. That is, of course, until Islamic fundamentalists sadly decided to put an end to their long and impressive history. Built into a cliff in the Bamiyan Valley way back in the 6th century, the carvings were 53 meters tall at their largest point. Incredibly, the Buddhas somehow managed to survive Genghis Khan's reign of terror, but they met their end at the hands of the Taliban in 2001 when they were destroyed with dynamite. Number 4. The Azure Window. Malta is an island nation in Europe that's always been popular with tourists for its safety, relatively low cost, and great food and drink. But the jewel in the crown of Malta was undoubtedly the Azure Window until in 2017 when it crumbled into the Mediterranean Sea. The rocky arc measured 28 meters or 92 feet and provided tourists with an iconic view of the blue water and sky that Malta's famed for. Of the million people that visited the Maltese island of Gozo, 80% of them stopped by the Azure Window. It was the country's most picturesque spot, and it was so spectacular that it was even featured in the first season of Game of Thrones. After years of concern that erosion would one day destroy the arch, rough seas finally tore it down. Number 3. Duckbill. If you haven't heard of the Duckbill, it was a sandstone rock formation in the Cape Cowanda State Natural Area in Oregon. It was a popular landmark to photograph because, you guessed it, it looked like a duckbill. It was a wonderful example of how creative Mother Nature can be, and in stark contrast, its demise was a terrible reminder of how dumb humans can be. In August 2016, a group of young people toppled the national treasure in an apparent revenge attack. No, really, the group destroyed the natural monument because it was responsible for breaking their friend's leg. They somehow managed to completely ignore their friend's role in the accident because the rock is surrounded by a fence and signs warning of the dangers. But the gang ignored this and clambered through anyway. Sadly, the vandals weren't caught, despite the crime being committed on video. Number 2. Nazca Lines. This tourist attraction does still exist, but it's been damaged so extensively that we had to include it on our list. If you've ever visited Peru, chances are you've stopped by the Nazca Lines to see one of the most incredible historical landmarks on Earth. Created 2,000 years ago, these huge geoglyphs give a glimpse into the ancient civilization that once occupied the land. The etchings are a combination of lines, shapes, and designs of animals and plants, and the largest one is an incredible 370 meters or 1,200 feet long. Sadly, not everyone respects these ancient artworks, and in 2018, a trucker intentionally drove his vehicle over the site, leaving deep scars across the protected area. And if you think that's bad, look at who else has taken it upon themselves to destroy this sacred area. Yes, Greenpeace. In 2014, an activist chose this area to promote renewable energy, and in doing so caused permanent damage to the site. The activist was given a suspended sentence in a Peruvian court, which will hopefully deter other idiots following his lead. Number 1. Maya Bay. Thailand is renowned for its beautiful beaches, but there's one that topped them all. Maya Bay rose to fame in Leonardo DiCaprio's 2000 film The Beach, and ever since it was used as the main location for the blockbuster, tourists have descended on the area in droves. At its worst, the bay was seeing 5,000 tourists every single day, which obviously took its toll on the area's ecosystem. Depressing photos show the area littered by, well, litter, left behind by careless tourists. So in 2018, the beach was closed to tourists to prevent further damage. Visitors can still enjoy views of the bay from a boat and embark on snorkeling trips in the area, but if you were planning on following Leo's footsteps on the beach, I'm afraid that's been ruined by your fellow human beings. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, click the bell, give this video a like, and tell us in the comments section about other attractions you know about that no longer exist.